Extraordinary probably came from back in the 19th century, in the Victorian times when mission first started. People who went off then, they took their coffins with them because they weren't going to come back. They would just put all their stuff in their coffins and went off, and then they got buried in their coffin. And that is an extraordinary sacrifice to make. But they would probably have said themselves, they're not extraordinary people, they were just ordinary people following God.
So if we think about some of the heroes of our faith, the people who've gone on mission before us, and I think of Hudson Taylor, and I think of Jackie Pullinger, and more up-to-date Heidi Baker, and I don't see people who have carried a great knowledge about what they could do. They just did what was in front of them. They just did what you and me might do. We just went into a place and saw what was needed and did it. They weren't thinking, I'm going to do something extraordinary.
I'm a very ordinary person, but I believe that God has called me not just to work in the office at CMS as a volunteer, but also to be involved in mission in the local community where I live. And I just do that in very small practical ways, by helping people, by being involved in the community centre. And I see that as my role in mission. And I'm just ordinary, I'm not an extraordinary person. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
In understanding my calling, it took quite a long time. It happened mainly through a lot of conversations with people about what my calling could look like. But I suppose for me, I'm more of a doing kind of person, and I think there's a kind of mentality that we think we have to know more to do more. And I used to just got involved in lots of things and started to do lots of youth work, or would be around in my community talking to people. And I suppose through doing lots of different things did I discover what my calling looked like and where my passions lied and who it was that I was trying to engage with within my community, really.
When I first saw an advert for a volunteer to come and work in the office of the Church Mission Society, I don't think that I felt that that was a specific calling for me. I just felt, oh, this is something I can go and do to help. But then, as my role developed, and it really has developed in the 10 years that I've been here, now I feel very much that that is a calling from God to do the specific job that I do within the community of CMS.
I don't think I've got a specific call to go and do something. Some people do. Some people have a call to go and work with street children, or go and do, if they're doctors, to go and set up a hospital somewhere. We haven't come at it like that. I don't think. The only call I would say we have is we've always had a passion between us, I think, to go out and be where the world is hurting the most and where there's the least resources to respond to that hurt, and we've always wanted to be a part of it.
I work in the fundraising team at the Church Mission Society, and I feel it's an act of mission because my role in the CMS is to get people enthusiastic about giving to mission partners and praying for mission partners. And without that, the mission partners wouldn't be able to do their work. So actually I feel that my calling within mission is to get that enthusiasm for the mission partners, and their calling obviously is to go out and do the work, but actually we're all part of the same journey. We're all doing a mission in our own context, and my role is in the office right now.
Part of my calling in life, I feel, is to be a pioneer ordinand. But a massive part of what I feel that involves for me is bringing these kind of two worlds together of the church and the community in which I live. Because I suppose on one side I've got this church and this radical message of Jesus that I think is wonderful and can transform lives, but I suppose for me, culturally, I might not feel at home there, whereas I live on the other side of the street, where I live in a council residence, where contextually and culturally I do feel at home there, but obviously don't maybe know what this thing that church is. And a part of my calling in life, I feel, is to somehow mesh these two worlds together, to bring and help and resource the church to take this message of Jesus across the road, but also to introduce the church to what it might feel like to live incarnate with people in the community they're surrounded by.
I have this expression that when we get up in the morning, we push back the forces of chaos. So whether we're here and we're actually dealing with the washing up that's piled up from the night before, or whether I'm in an office in Beirut trying to bring order into chaos, we're doing what God's called us to do that day.
I've taken part in some of the fundraising sponsored challenges. I've done the South Downs Walk, and I've also jumped out of a plane for Church Mission Society, attached to a man with a parachute. I think that my actions are part of God's mission, because I was using the gifts that I had I was able to go out and do the walks and do the parachute jumping, but actually it's about a lot more than that.
I run a boxing club. We don't call it official boxing club, but it's like a boxercise session for local men in the community who might not necessarily engage with church on Sunday, and so they come along. Obviously we use boxing techniques to get fit and maybe express maybe some of how our feelings are, whether we had a good week or a bad week. And we have a time at the end where we pray together. We don't force them to pray, but we just say we're in the business of blessing people, so we just want to bless you. And when we first started, there was like this real awkward tension at the end of every session where everyone was like, oh, this is the prayer bit now. And but somehow in some sort of way now it's become part of the norm. There's almost this sense of welcome for prayer at the end, that they know that maybe life is more than just their body and their minds, that actually, because they feel so tired, there's this kind of desire to want something else.
Well, I hate the word ordinary. I don't think there's any such thing. I think everyone is special and they've got their own gifts and skills, and therefore if you're using those gifts and skills, then the things you do isn't ordinary at all. If you're showing love, whether it's your friends or your family, or you're stepping outside into your community and you're seeing a need and you're filling that need, then that is mission. And whatever you're doing, it is still mission. And I don't think there's anything ordinary about that.
It's what he's doing that matters. It doesn't matter what I do. There's no credit to me. So I can make a cup of tea and it can be part of my mission, because it's what he does with that cup of tea that matters.